Well, welcome back. Now, we're already seen a live session on all about Copilot Studio and agents and all that. John, thanks for putting that on, and happy to have you back and to do some live questions. If you're in the audience right now, go ahead and post those questions in the Q&A, and John and I will try to answer those right now. My name is Brian Knight. I'll be John's assistant today, kind of going through the questions here as we get through that. But thank you so much for watching. Number one question we get asked is, of course, is the session recorded? Yes, it was recorded. It'll be available here shortly, so you can actually play along with that scenario as we get in. So John, let's jump right into questions here. So first question we have right out of the gate here is from Ethan. And his question was, what is the benefit of this type of solution, this solution being Copilot Studio, versus coding it yourself?
Well, I mean, there's a couple different options here. Like if you want to code it, if you want to go to the pro code method, you certainly can, and we could talk a little bit about that as well. But the Copilot Studio is really created for those business users that don't have that coding experience, that developer background. So it's really going to be the way that you can click your way to success just by using some of the out-of-the-box features from Copilot Studio. As you saw, hopefully during that demonstration, we didn't write any code at all. We're utilizing some of the tools, we're using the triggers that are already pre-built for us, and just in plain text saying exactly how we want them to work.
So is it more built for like a process improvement kind of system where you have not necessarily, I mean, it could be pro coders, but it could be business folks, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It could be like we kind of went through at the beginning, it could be your general Q&A bot. It can be, there's a lot of options we can do with Copilot Studio, but it just depends on how in depth you want to go, like how difficult, if you want to put it that way, you want the process to be for the agent to be able to handle. The more extreme you go, the more coding you're likely going to get yourself into.
Nice. So if you do want to have that pro code experience, of course you can use some of the APIs, but what other options in the other stacks could you use with Microsoft?
Yeah, I mean, you can customize your own SDK and actions, but there's also AI Foundry, and that's a really great feature if you wanted to go to that pro dev model, to be able to use that within Azure to really customize every last feature of the agent. And it's actually something we're developing ourselves here internally.
Yeah, so in AI Foundry, there are about 11,000, I checked yesterday, 11,000 different LLM models that you can tap into. Crazy amount of models. So, and that does integrate with things like Copilot Studio. So if you have some special ability you want to give that Copilot Studio, like for example, maybe reading a radiology exam, ChatGPT 5 may not have the ability to do that out of the gate, but giving it that specialty model to read those images could be an awesome option for that.
Absolutely.
And we're using it ourselves in our own learning management system to comb through our transcripts and answer questions about certain classes based on those transcripts. You'll see when you go to our at learning.pragmaticworks.com, you'll see a feature called Ask Percy that is using AI Foundry and Copilot Studio. Let's go on to our next one. You showed a lot of stuff here. Let me get rid of that one and show this one. All right, there we go. You showed a lot of things that resembled Power Automate. Do I need a Power Automate license for this?
No, you don't. And that's one of the other nice features about working with Copilot Studio is it's its own subscription license plan in itself as its own independent technology. So you don't need to worry about having that Power Automate premium license that's likely where the question's coming from, or the per user license. So as long as you have the Copilot Studio license and you determine how you want to go through that with the pay-as-you-go plan that's now out there, or the other options that you want to work with, you get access to all the features that come with it. That includes Dataverse storage. So let's say you need to store knowledge sources, like you're uploading files. That goes directly into Dataverse. Well, you don't have to pay extra for that. It's all coming with that Copilot Studio license you have.
That's fantastic. So the other question we had, this is from Mahul, looks like, is what is the best practice from an agent perspective when you have multiple instructions? So for example, I had one the other day. We were doing this for a hospital, and they wanted one set of instructions to simulate a patient, and the other set of instructions to simulate a triage system, like which patient would you prioritize? And they want to use this to train their nurse practitioners, their doctor residents, and so on. So what would I do in those scenarios? They're very different types of instructions.
Yeah, if they're completely separate, that's where we definitely suggest using that agent-to-agent handoff, because that gives you the ability to go ahead and have your really distinctive set of rules and regulations and instructions around how that agent should work. If those instructions, that's that child agent, that kind of lightweight one, or a completely separate one you can pass off to, if those instructions are really kind of the same and part of a larger process, but are all going down the same path, we're just going to use tools for that. And we're just going to put into our instructions how the agents to handle those different scenarios. But again, if they're separate scenarios, that's where we're really going to want to, pass off to another agent. Something we used to do in the past with like an omni-channel, where we would utilize, dynamics and an omni-channel to be able to handle that agent-to-agent pass-off or the escalation request. Now, it's all done internally in Copilot Studio.
It's almost like a subroutine from the development side. All right,
absolutely.
Gotcha. So what is the number one mistake you see people make when they're starting off in Copilot Studio?
I think one of the things that, at least, and even I've made these mistakes myself, is you're trying to say AI can handle it, right? And just kind of being too broad. You got to really think AI, and I heard this analogy, and I really like it, is only as good as the instructions you give it. It's like your GPS that you use in your car or your phone that we're all using all right now, right? If you just say, I want to go here, but you're not saying what is the exact location, like how do I, where exactly do I want to go? It doesn't really know what to do. It's just, it can't figure out everything on its own. You have to give it, guardrails or instructions, in order to get there. And that's, for a lot of people, it's just, oh, go do it for me. It's like, well, it's not quite that right now.
Then it started answering questions about travel itineraries all of a sudden.
It hallucinates or something. Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. So really kind of building guardrails first.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. All right, well, cool. So as we're looking at this, from what you showed today, we have a question here from a few folks here, but I'll kind of put the theme of them up here. There we go. Is what type of license is really required to do what you've been doing today?
Yeah, so your general Copilot Studio license is certainly just fine for what we're working with. So that comes out, there's a free one. So there's a free one to use in the developer environment to go ahead and build and test out. But once you want to go ahead and publish this out to users, you have your Copilot Studio license available, and then there's a pay-as-you-go plan that comes with it. So that plan is really around the messages that get kind of displayed via your agent. So depending upon how those messages are generated, that's where some of the additional fees come in. If it's using generative, that's going to be using more. It's going to be essentially more calls than a just simple like answer this from a knowledge source.
Well, speaking of which, it's a great question from Stephen here. Thank you, Stephen, for asking this. What is a license type that's required for like a personal non-business user? If they just want to kind of test this stuff out, to build things out, or are building a job hunt agent, for example? Yeah,
well, you're going to need a Microsoft business account first and foremost, right? You're going to have that created to be able to simply just even utilize Copilot Studio and log in and build out. So that's one of the first things. You need to have that work or school account. You'll see that the moment you try to log in, you're going to get prompted to do so. And it's not going to accept your Outlook.com or Hotmail.com email address in order to do that. So at the very bare minimum, you'll need that. Office 365 comes into play with that as well. And then you can start to go ahead and try things out within Copilot Studio with the free plan that comes with that.
Gotcha. So we have a lot of questions that are kind of following up that licensing discussions, of course.
Yeah.
So if I do have a pro license, an M365 pro license, will it be available to create agents?
So yeah, well, that's actually not Copilot Studio, right? That's something called Copilot Chat. So you can use that right away. If you go to Copilot, you have a 365, you can go there, utilize Copilot Chat, and that's something that's going to be available for you right away. You can build your own agents in Copilot Chat as well. So that's a nice little feature to have. It's not quite the full Copilot Studio, do all these things with the different triggers and the tools and other actions that we can have to utilize, but you still get the ability to build your kind of sub agents from inside of there.
Yeah, and also the developer environments for Power Platform will help there as well.
Absolutely.
You can I see that in the chat quite a few times also. All right, let me go ahead and try the next one here. So I had to have one already up here. Lost it there. Okay, so what really? Oh, sorry, here it was. Here, this is a question from QS here. I'll go ahead and abbreviate the name here. Is what kind of tools can you use to develop those adaptive cards that can be read from Teams, for example?
Okay, first off, I'm a huge fan of adaptive cards. I know some people don't like them. I like to use them. I think they work great, especially inside of Teams. There is an adaptive card designer.io to be able to, it's simply a website. You just do a nice Bing search or Google search, you'll be able to find it. It just got updated recently within the last I want to say 1 or 2 weeks to the new version, so it goes directly into Teams and be utilized in a lot of places. That designer gives you a lot of the framework built in, and you can do some dragging and dropping into your adaptive card, builds all the JSON that you can copy, pass that into your agent or say Power Automate or anything else. So it does a lot of that work for you. As long as you're putting in IDs, then you can pass in dynamic content with it. So I use that quite a bit. I just actually built something with it yesterday. So speaking specifically like that, it's really, really helpful. So you're not writing all of that JSON from scratch. You can use that adaptive card designer. I believe it's adaptedcarddesigner.io. Exactly it.
Fancy. All right, then here we have one here from an individual. Can I use Agent to log into a web portal and provide credentials for that web portal? That's an interesting model. I'm kind of curious. That might involve some from Automate stuff.
Yeah, that sounds like you're going to need some type of Power Automate injection into there, because if you're logging into a web portal that maybe doesn't have that API, if it has the API available and you can pass in credentials, we can do a lot of that with some of the actions we can build or the tools that we have. But if it's requiring you to put in your username and your password and to navigate around, to click around and download things, that's where we're going to probably call out a Power Automate workflow, specifically one that can then trigger a desktop flow with Power Automate to go ahead and do those processes.
So you covered agents. In a previous session, you probably covered with Amelia, like more of the chat bot.
Yeah.
What most excites you around these that you've seen the last 6 months here?
I would say for sure the agent-to-agent handoff for me, coming from that experience, is definitely one of the most exciting features, simply because in the past, we would have to go get an omni-channel. We need somewhere to be able to do that handoff, where now a lot of that can be handled inside of the agent itself. And then we can now utilize all of those Power Platform connectors in there as too. So you get the tools, the triggers. It kind of gives you that Power Automate feel / chatbot integration, where it's really starting to pick up where it's like your own personalized AI assistant.
That's cool. Yeah, I think the agents was my most exciting thing, because I think it left the chatbot really scripted area to more of a loosened kind of option there. Don't just do conversations, but do emails, do text messages, do other things like that.
Absolutely.
So what is one of the coolest use cases you've seen for these over the past few months here?
A lot of the use cases we see, especially right now, if you kind of look around the world or online, it's handling customer service. So it's like maybe we have a customer service email account, people send in emails or anything, and they want to be able to automatically reply, find somebody's account number, find their order, update their status, whatever that may be, if you don't have a live customer service system to do so. So that's one that I see that is really popular to be utilized. There's others where we can have it where it's a phone service, or we have text messaging enabling, and that kind of triggers off the agent too. So there's a lot of really cool features to be able to really handle that autonomous part of the agent development.
Awesome. Yeah, one of my most exciting ones we built recently was for a county that wanted to handle through an IVR system. An IVR system being a phone call, right? You call an 800 number, and you can ask questions. Hey, when is the next Board of County Commissioner meeting? Or I have a pothole. You can create cases from that. That was pretty neat one. And then also one for nonprofits to find other nonprofits. So I have somebody in my office I have a medical clinic that also needs dental work. I don't do dental work. Who does that in my county? So we built one that we're about to deploy, where it can create referrals and follow up with those referrals. Yep. But not just responding to chat messages, but responding to emails and text messages and all that. Yeah, that's awesome. So where can they find out more? What kind of classes have you built, or that we built that you can point people to? Yeah,
well, we've helped Microsoft come through and develop the new Agents in a Day, the free course you can take via Microsoft, and kind of take that with us, because it's one of the nice features where we could see a lot of these things that I even showcased here for our session. We have some courses on our on-demand learning platform around Copilot Studio, and we're always looking to add more additional features to that. Largely it's going to be myself or Amelia, or even you there. We're going to be doing a lot of the work with Copilot Studio and the agents, and just that's really where we're going to see a lot of that content come out. Of course, obviously YouTube videos, we're going to try to put as much as we can out there.
So whether you want to build it or you want us to build it, we can help you there.
Yeah.
Another question here from this is Old Monkey. Does AI have the ability to look at a supervisor's organizational hierarchy and make decisions based on that?
Well, it depends on how that structure is, right? Because we're going to have to give the permission to that to be able to go look up that hierarchy, say in the Azure Active Directory or the Entra ID, in order to have the delegated permissions to do so. So a lot of that would have to come into like, are those permissions available? How do we look that up? Now, there is a connector within the Power Platform to certainly do that. So long as we pass in that connector, that's going to be available for us.
Awesome. Again, if you guys have any questions, make sure you throw those in the chat window where John and I are answering those live right now. While we're waiting for those last minute questions, we have an event coming up in a little bit here as well. Actually, next month, we'll have 2 events next month. I'll be doing one live on September 4th. We have not announced this yet, but September 4th, it'll be a live session in this room on Power Platform Administration. And then we have Andrew here, you'll see, is doing one on AI Builder. AI Builder is pretty darn amazing. We use it to scrub things like transcripts to look at your college transcripts. We'll look at either for resumes. Is this person qualified for position A, B, or C based on my needs that I have here posted? Lots of neat stuff that Andrew's going to show in that one. Definitely it's a must watch if you're really into this AI stuff. So what kind of AI Builder stuff have you done, John?
Yeah, I've actually, with some of our customers, we've done it where we have the passing in a document, scan the document for relative details, and then be able to reconfigure that and write it in more of a professional setting. So a lot of time it's like we have companies that are working on, say, vehicles or construction equipment, and their technicians are just writing it up, passing in a Word document or a PDF, fillable PDF, and then sending it in. But that's not really customer facing. So we use AI Builder with a prompt to reconfigure all that and write it in a nice customer facing way so the customers really understand what all the technical jargon means and then pass that back out for them.
It is so darn cool. I see people are surprised it's still a thing. It is a thing for a reason. It is the use case I had recently was, recently being like last week, was I was working with a nonprofit organization, an NGO. In their case, children write letters to their sponsored people that are helping pay for their education and all, and they'll write it in a different language, in Spanish in this case. And they would have to have a human, type it all in, translate it, and then send a letter to the sponsor. That was taking 2 to 3 months for it to go through that whole process. Now we're using AI Builder to take the teacher takes a picture of the handwritten letter. AI Builder pulls the text out, translates it, looks for any kind of inappropriateness in the letter, and same thing for the sponsor going in, and then we'll emails in the letter. It also shows it to them on a Power Page. So really, it took what was a 2-month process with a lot of manual labor down to literally seconds of work now. So really cool stuff you can do there. Well, we have, let's see, here we go. Let's go one more here. We have a few more here actually. Is there a library of agents for public access with use cases like hospital operation management? This is a question from I am. I actually showed you
I know.
We are about to do this. Literally, I was making this library today. We'll be announcing it next week, so stay tuned. We have some for like hospital ones for learning to be a lawyer, ones for handling like caseworker type. We have about dozens of them about to show, where you can kind of play with it and see the instructions and see if it works for you also there, so you can kind of show your boss whether it makes sense. One more question here. This is from Maggie. What are some grounding strategies for creating agents that read or retrieve data from SharePoint sites, not external?
So we're looking at internal agents for, say, employees, right? So, well, there's Copilot inside of SharePoint. So that's one thing as an option to be able to just enable that for your SharePoint site and ask questions there. But some other strategies around that, you got to really think about accessibility, right? We want to be able to pass that information to internal users. In most cases, SharePoint is an all-in kind of security model. They have to be a member at least of the site in order to retrieve information. But what we can do is, of course, we can delegate permissions into that now. The process of doing that is much simpler than it used to be in years past,
yes, it is,
where we had to do a lot of other permissions to be able to build all the delegations to be able to pass it in from SharePoint. Now it's actually quite simple to do, and there's really not too much work. You're just saying, where's the information coming from? You're connecting into your SharePoint site. That's one of our knowledge sources available that we can utilize too, and it could just pass all those details.
That's awesome. And then one last one from John here to wrap up our questions, and we'll get some giveaways also. Yeah. Is there a capability to scan images and pull the PDF information out through this as well as a data source?
Well, that's AI Builder,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
That's why we still have AI Builder, because that's one of the great features of AI Builder, to be able to do that with us. We connect into that AI model that we can either train or just kind of use some of the out-of-the-box features, and it does all that for us.
Yeah, and I used this, for example, recently with Copilot Studio to pull transcripts out, pull the information out and see, was this teacher qualified for an endorsement for this type of certificate, for example.
Absolutely.
Or a promotion or whatever it might be. Well, thank you for joining us. We have some giveaways now. Let's do our first one. John, do you want to read these off? My glasses are off right now.
Yeah, it looks like the first one is going out to Arctic Wizard 14. I know we had some conversation in the chat there, so congratulations to you.
Well, he wins a audio on-demand learning subscription
Absolutely.
for a year. Now, Arctic Wizard, if you go ahead and take a picture of your profile so we know it's you and email it to marketing@pragmaticworks.com, that will help you claim that. Let's go to our next one. We have a few to give away here.
Second one is Old Monkey there. I know the two of you had some conversation back and forth, so there you go. Pals there, and you hit the same thing. As Brian mentioned, just take a screenshot of your profile there for YouTube, send it to our email address there, and we can go ahead and get you that subscription.
And I think we have one here, one last one. Let's take a look at that. And we have Sandeep. Last name, can you see that?
Pockrell? I'm going to guess there. I apologize for butchering that. There you go.
I can't read with these on, and I can't see with them off, so it's worst of all worlds.
There you go.
Yeah, so Sandeep, if you would go ahead and take a picture of your profile, send it to marketing@pragmaticworks. We'll get you a license of our on-demand subscription. And you can actually see our on-demand subscription at learning.pragmaticworks.com. You can actually see it there as well. Or go to our homepage and click on the Start Learning button at the top right. And don't forget, next month we have our Learn with the Nerd session with Andrew Perez on AI Builder. Thanks so much for joining us. And John, thanks for answering these live questions as well. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.